Good morning, my dear students. Yesterday, as we had discussed in first chapter of the history, that is the advent of Christianity, we had discussed about the how Christianity came into the world. Yes, how who invented, who was the founder of Christianity. Then we saw about Jesus Christ, then teachings of Jesus Christ, then we saw about crucifixion of Jesus Christ, then spread of Christianity, then division of Roman Empire. Now, then what were the results, what were the consequences of declination of Roman Empire. Now, today we will discuss about the barbaric invasions, then rise of Byzantium, then emergence of Turks and Mongols, then the Crusades, then we will see about the results of the Crusades, then Christian monastic order, then priests and bishops, then impact of monasteries. Now we'll see about barbaric invasions. So the most prominent cause from the decline of the Roman Empire was barbaric invasions. So in this para we will be seeing about how was the decline of the Roman Empire actually happened. Yes, what was the reason which led to the declination of Roman Empire? First thing is the rise of barbarians. Yes, so who were they? Yes, first uh, they were the Germans. Yes, they came from the Germany, who were who were divided into tribes. Yes, that the West Goths and the East Goths, like we have tribes. Yes, we have so like people form people who are in the groups who form tribes. Yes, there are different tribes by different names. So these were the German people who divided themselves into two tribes, that is the West Goths and the East Goths. These tribal people were called as Goths. You can see Goths. Goths. Yes, so who were the people? They were lawless, they were much greedy, they were very selfish and very treacherous. They were like if they once entered the city, they were very much greedy, and when they looted, they were like they used to loot the entire city. Okay, then they came at first fleeing from Huns, a far more barbarous enemy, seeking shelter in Rome. So they were, they escaped from the one more empire they are talking about, that is the Huns. Okay, they escaped from the Huns, from their from danger. Okay, from one danger they had escaped from the city, and they came here to take the shelter there. Okay, where to take shelter? They came to take shelter in the Rome. Okay, so they found the protection they desired. What happened? They took all the advantages. As soon as they entered in the city Rome, they took protection from them. But actually what happened? But what was the result? But they turned against the men who provided them with. Okay, they cheated the men. Okay, they cheated the men who gave them place in the city. For them itself, they cheated. These people cheated them. Okay, like under the young king Alaric, the Visigoths attacked the empire again and again. So who was this Visigoth? He was the king of the Goths who attacked the city twice. Okay, then he led siege to Rome. Then third time, twice he had already attacked the Rome, who the Goths king. Okay, then the third time he came and plundered the city. What he did, he plundered the city wave after wave. Groups such as Vandals, then Anglers, then Saxons, then Franks and Lombards took turns in ravaging the empire, eventually carving out areas to settle down. The Angles and the Saxons populated British Isles, and Franks ended up in France. So in 476 CE, what happened? Romulus, no, the last Roman emperor. Who was he? So in 476, the last Roman emperor. Okay, the last Roman emperor, that is the king. Okay, his name was Romulus, was overthrown. He was overthrown by the German leader. Okay, Odoacer, who became the first barbarian ruler of the Rome. Okay, so what happened in the result? They these as soon as the barbar, what was the main thing is, uh, the people of city, no, the city, the Roman city, no, it gave place to these people, to barbarians. What they did, instead of thanking them for giving shelter, but they turned against them, and they captured the whole city. And the first German leader, his name was Odoacer, who overthrew the Romulus, and he became the first barbarian ruler of Rome. Rise of Byzantium. The Eastern Roman Empire is sometimes called the Byzantine Empire after the capital city of Byzantium. Okay, it is the Byzantine Empire. No, it is referred to the Eastern Roman Empire or the Byzantium. Okay, it is the continuation of Roman Empire in its eastern province during the late Middle Ages. Okay, when its capital city was Constantinople. Okay, Byzantine is also called as the Constantinople, as Constantine was the one who uh, Constantine was the one who built a new imperial capital at Byzantium. Okay, it was called as Constantinople. That is, it is the present day of Istanbul. As I have said you, it is in the city Turkey. Okay, so the Western Roman Empire became, no, the Greek was the main language. Yes, Greek was the main language in this empire. Okay, the Western Roman Empire, that is not the Eastern Roman Empire I'm talking, this the Western Empire became the seat of Roman Catholic Church. Okay, whatever the decisions according to whatever the decisions, okay, regarding the country, it was made from Roman Catholic Church. And the Eastern Empire, Byzantium, that is Byzantine Empire, became the seat of Orthodox Church. What I'm trying to tell you is, this empire was divided into two. That is the Western Roman Empire, it was the seat of Roman Catholic Church, and the Eastern Byzantine Empire became the seat of Orthodox Church. Okay, in thus Christianity was the only unifying factor despite the decline of Roman Empire. Even after the decline of Roman Empire, what was there Christianity still tried to maintain its level. Okay, try to maintain its level, because Christianity was the only unifying factor despite the decline of the Roman Empire. Under its influence, most of the Europe adopted Christianity. Why most of the Europe adopted Christianity means, because main thing, that is Christianity was followed everywhere. Christianity, this religion, people tried to adopt this religion, and most of the Europeans, what they did, they adopted Christianity as their religion. Emergence of Turks and Mongols, that is, they emerged from 6th century to 13th century. Parallel to the developments in Europe, okay, Europe also saw the rise of Turks and Mongols. Okay, where they emerged from? They emerged from the high plateau of Mongolia. They came from Mongolia. Where it is means, it is in the east of Asia. Okay, they hailed from Altai mountains. Okay, rivaled only by Scandinavia as a region, from which successive waves, okay, the waves means the tribesmen emerged from these regions. Okay, so Mongolia is the original homeland. Mongolia is the original homeland for both, that is the Turks and the Mongols. Okay, the emergence of Turks from Mongolia, how the Turks came from Mongolia. It was a gradual and uncharted process. That is, each successive made its first appearance in history only when the Turkish tribes or warriors, means Turkish tribes means these were the tribal people or warriors who acquired power in some new regions, where means whether they were in the form of Khazars, that is the Khazars and Seljuks are the tribal people, okay, who emerged in these regions. Okay, the sudden eruptions of the Mongols from their homeland was different from the Turks. So what was the eruption, how they erupted from their homeland? Okay, it was completely different from the Turks. Their astonishing expansion spanning the breadth of Asia can be precisely dated from early 13th century, and it is attributed to military genius of one man, that is Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan is he is the head of the uh, Mongol tribe. Okay, he was the head of the Mongol tribe. Okay, So Turkish tribe to the east, Khazars, which settled. These are the Turkish tribe is completely different from Mongol tribe. Okay, so Turkish tribe to the east, that is who are called as Khazars. No, they settled around the cities of Bukhara and Samarkand. Okay, they succumbed to a powerful religious influence. First, they followed the different religion. What was the religion which they followed? Their own religion was shamanism. Okay, but slowly after time they converted into Islam. They came into the religion of Islam. So this brought them within the Muslim caliphate, which from 762 CE was based in Baghdad. Okay, we will be reading about this in the next chapter about the Muslim rule and the caliphate. Okay, so the Baghdad caliphate was the Persian empire in new guys. Within the empire, the Turks played an increasingly important role both as a tribal allies and as a slaves in Persian army. Even they were in the form of tribal allies as well as the slaves, okay, in Persian armies. Gradually, the Turks began to carve out the territories from themselves. In the 11th century, they captured the Holy Land of Jerusalem. So, what I am trying to tell you is the next part of the para which which you will come across is the Crusades. So, what was the actual impact? Why was the Crusades formed? Because these Turks know who slowly emerged in the Europe. What they did, these Turks know these people, they captured the Holy Land of Jerusalem, that is the holy place of the Christians. Okay, so this led to the religious war between them and the Christians, that is between the Turks and the Christians. There was a religious war. Okay, Crusades. The Crusades were a series of a religious war sanctioned by the Latin Church in the medieval period between 1095 CE to 1291 CE, which believed that fighting in a crusade means what is why a crusade is done. It is a series of a medieval military expeditions made by Europeans. Okay, it is a expedition made by Europeans to recover the Holy Land, which was captured by Muslims in the 11th or 12th or 13th centuries. Okay, so there were four to five crusades done in this year. Crusade means it is nothing but the war which is done in the form of it is a war, like we can say war which is fought for the religious, okay, religion. Then there were totally 4 to 5 crusades. That is first crusade. No, if you see in the map, there you can see that first crusade from it was in the year 1096 to 1099. Then second crusade, again it took in first. If you see in the red color arrow, you can see the first crusade. No, it took in Antioch and Jerusalem. Okay, then second crusade, it it is the it is when the Muslims captured Damascus and Jerusalem. Okay, then 11 then third crusade is, that is 1189 and 1192, that is Salahuddin. Okay, he was a ruler, he was a great ruler in Syria when he ruled the Syria and the parts of northern Africa. Okay, then fourth crusade is that is it was done in the 12th not 2 to 12 not 4. Okay, it is like there were totally 4 to 5 crusades done at this time. Why these crusades were mainly done only for the religion? Okay, because these Muslims, no, the Muslims who attacked their this one holy places. So to regain that holy places, this crusade was done. Okay, so what happened, the famous poet of Pope Urban. Okay, he is a Pope Urban too. He was the Pope. Okay, what he said, that he made it clear and evident that whoever he believed that fighting in a crusade, okay, fighting in a crusade would ensure forgiveness of all the sins. Okay, like all who die by the way, whether by the land or by the sea or in a battle against the Muslims, shall have immediate forgiveness of sins. So whoever fought in the battle, he believed that if he die in that battle, he would have his immediate forgiveness from all the sins. Okay, the most commonly known are campaigns in the Eastern Mediterranean aimed at recovering the Holy Land from Islamic rule. Since these people captured the holy place, that is where the birth of the Jesus Christ, yes, it was a, they believe that they believe that it was the holy place of the Christians. So they wanted to regain this holy place from the Islamic rule. So the crusade comprised a series of religious wars. So these were the wars, okay, between the Christians and Muslims, which started primarily to secure control of holy sites so considered sacred by the both groups. So the crusades were the series of religious wars. So these wars were done 4 to 5 times. Okay, results of the crusades. So this crusade, the crusade was a series of religious wars, which were between the Christians and Muslims. Okay, this also brought some significant changes in medieval period, that is they brought some positive impacts. So what were they? As you know, in Britishers ruled India for maximum 200 years. At the same time, they like India was controlled under the British, but at the same time it brought a positive impacts also, like education system was brought up in India, girl education was encouraged, then sati system was banned, the many things happened. Okay, likewise this crusade also brought some changes in medieval Europe. So first the Christians started using the gunpowder, okay, which they learned from the Muslims. Second, knowledge in the areas of science, medicines and architecture was transferred from Islamic and Greek world to the West during the crusades. So these areas of the knowledge about the science, medicines, architecture, which came from the Islamic and the Greek world, no, it transformed to the Western, it came to the Europe. Okay, so this paved the path for the Renaissance in the Europe. What is this Renaissance? You might have come across the word Renaissance in the grade 6, I think so. It is something like it is a new growth of activity or interest that is something especially expressed in the art, in the form of art, literature. People might have different interest in this art, literature or music, etc. Okay, so this gave a path to Renaissance. Okay, then new scientific discoveries and inventions. So some discoveries, inventions also made their way to the Western world. Okay, inventions of the Arabs such as algebra, optics and engineering came to the West. So they began to be taught as a new courses in the European universities. So the new education system, like which came from Arabs, like algebra, engineering, everything, these courses, it were taught in the European universities. Then many new towns, cities were established. The traders and manufacturers demanded better condition of law and order. They paid taxes to the king and helped him to raise a large army. So the trade would happen from one country to the other country. No, so this what they paid taxes. So in turn, what it helped the country to raise a large army. So this led to an increase in authority of the king and decline in the power of the feudal lords. Okay, so these were all the positive impacts which happened in the medieval Europe due to the crusades. Monastic order. The fall of Roman Empire created a void in the political and social life of Europe. So, as soon as the fall of Roman Empire, what happened? Christianity emerged among the people. Okay, so many people looked towards Christianity. As Christianity spread, the power of church increased. As people try to follow the religion, as people try to increase their faith on the religion, what will happen? The power of church become more. Yes, so in 3rd century CE, the concept of church developed with an elaborate infrastructure. So we believe that wherever we go for a religious place, okay, we believe that our religious place should be clean, tidy, and the infrastructure which would be maintained would be good, so that everyone could come and worship their Lord. Yes, so what happened? By the 5th century CE, Christian churches had been set up all over Western Europe. Everywhere, what happened? Churches had set up in the 5th century, priests live among the people and preach and perform religious rites. So who are the priests? Priests are the ones who perform the religious rites. Okay, so some priests choose to live a ascetic in monasteries. Ascetics means they try to live their life as a monk, as a hermit. Okay, so the Christian monks lived in monasteries. You know, monasteries are the buildings where the monks or the hermits live, and they live in the religious way. Okay, so Christian monks lived in monasteries where they pursued their religious mission. Women who had given up worldly life, like women who do not want to uh, enter in the worldly life, they chose to be live as a nuns. Okay, nuns, you know, they lived in convents and nunneries. So these monks and nuns, you know, they lived a Spartan life. Spartan means they tried to live their life in a disciplined way of life, in a simple way. So they shunned luxury and comfort. They did not live in a luxury or a comfort life, but and they did not marry. Okay, so the monks and nuns lived a simple yet orderly life. They had to follow a very rigid code of conduct. Their day was divided in three parts. That is one part of their day. Okay, they divided their day in a three part. That is one part of the day would go for the prayer, one part of the go for the sleep, and the third would go for the intellectual and manual labor. The monasteries contained okay, that is manual labor, whatever they work they would like to do. So they try to live their life in a disciplined way. Okay, who? Nuns and the priest, who or the monks. The monasteries contained almost everything one needed: a large garden. Okay, what does a monastery had? A large garden, pond, library, church, and hospital. During the medieval period, the church was the only source of education. Okay, whoever wanted to pursue their education, they wanted to come to the church to learn the to get the education. So it also looked after the sick. Okay, the church also look after the sick people, poor people, and the destitute. Okay, many monks like Saint Thomas, as you see in the picture, his name is Saint Thomas Aquinas. Okay, he was an outstanding scholar and a philosopher. And bishops. So the priests formed the lowest rung of the monastic order. They performed religious services, baptism, and conducted marriages. So they were they were the religious priests who mainly do the religious services, and they conducted marriage. They were in the lowest rung of monastic order, whereas the bishops, you know, they were a rank of higher than the priest. So bishops were higher than the priest. Okay, so they supervise the church in its everyday functioning, whatever the related to the church. Now whatever the church needed, whatever the functioning which was related to church was controlled by the bishops. Okay, among the bishop of the five important cities of the Christian church: Constantinople. These are the five churches which were located in the Constantinople, Rome, Alexandria, Antioch, and Jerusalem. So the bishop of Rome gained absolute supremacy. So the bishop of Rome, that is the bishop of the of Rome, that is a place where the church is located. He gained the absolute supremacy. He was in the supreme position. He took the title of pope. Okay, he was called as the pope, meaning father. Okay, he was the father in the Latin. So he took the title as the father. The pope of St. Peter Church became the spiritual head of the Christians. So however by the 16th century, the Christian church had many divisions. Important among these divisions were the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Western Protestant Church. Now also you can see there are Christians who are in the different caste or different section. You can say they are in the form of Orthodox Church, or they might be in the Roman Catholics, or they are in the form of the Protestants. Yes, so then comes the impacts of monasteries. So what were the impacts? So what were the main role of the monasteries in the medieval period? So, monasteries played an important role in the medieval Europe. They emerged as center of learning for monks and nuns. So, whatever if they want to, the monks and nuns, no, if they wanted to learn something, they came to the monasteries to gain the education. They studied various subjects such as literature, art, and religion. Okay. So many towns and cities built huge churches which became great center of learning such as Cambridge and Oxford universities. So these churches, no, first they were churches and became the great learning centers, and they were in the form of Cambridge and Oxford universities. Secular subjects such as history, philosophy, medicine, law, and astrology were also taught in these universities. Okay, so these subjects were taught in these universities. Since printing press and paper had not yet been invented, that time paper was not invented, but monks wrote books by hand on a parchment, which was very useful source of knowledge of the medieval civilization in Europe. So nuns and monks educated children, treated sick people. What was their main thing means they were serving to the people. Okay, they were in the welfare trust. Okay, so they educated children and they treated sick people and extended help to the needy. They helped the needy ones. Okay, so they did or whatever good things they did in this in this period. Then monasteries became important centers where architecture, mural paintings, woodwork, and glass painting flourished. So from this, what I get this for these are all the positive impacts of the monasteries. Now with this you now you end this chapter here. Okay, you have the conclusion here. Since you people are in the grade 7, my request is that ki you please go to the chapter once, read the passages of the text thoroughly, and mark the question answers. And next week possibly I'll try to give you the notes, but you compare your markings with these notes. Okay, so my request is that ki, please go to the text once, thorough the text, learn the question answers, try to learn the one word question answers, and try to answer the following questions in the book back exercise. Okay, so till then, thank you, take care, have a great day.